Greetings. This is Queen Elle. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'd like to welcome you to my channel. It is Saturday evening, March 7th, 2020. And as you see from the subject line, this video is specifically regarding daylight savings time. And I did want to discuss, to preface my 5 card spread on just my thoughts, my viewpoint on how daylight savings time affects our third eye, how it affects our pineal gland, and just our overall circadian rhythm. And so, if you're not aware, the history regarding daylight savings time was, or what historians or the government will say, is it's mainly to give us, the civilians, the constituents, to give us more daylight hours so that we're not just dependent upon these summer hours to get the majority of our daylight time. So, the unfortunate thing, though, with regard to daylight savings time, especially because um, in the spring, we spring forward, if you will. That's in March. And then we fall back, as it's called, later on in the fall. Well, it ends up amounting to about 8 months of extended daylight hours, or that was the idea. Well, the problem with doing that, one, on a truly deeper level, it is messing with our time continuum, because over time of us doing that, our own internal clock is shifted. um, the pineal gland, I can show you from my profile, is about in here within your skull, your brain. It's a cone shaped, very small gland, and it's something that some medical professionals will say is seemingly insignificant and doesn't really serve a higher purpose in our lives. However, that is not true. It has been kind of disregarded in recent years. However, it is something that is linked specifically to our third eye. It also affects our sleep patterns, our circadian rhythm, which is our waking versus sleeping pattern, and it essentially affects the amount of melatonin that our bodies naturally produce. So something that I personally have seen recently is an influx of individuals noting how they're taking melatonin supplements to help them sleep at night, and just an increase of people having any, certain sleep issues, or just like I said, just issues falling asleep, issues staying asleep. And I believe that daylight savings time definitely is a big contributor to that issue. I mean, there are many medical issues that can also, and other environmental factors that can affect it as well. But definitely, daylight savings time does not only it not only contributes to it, but it, in a lot of cases, is the cause of those issues. So, um, the purpose of this spread is, I just wanted to do a 5 card spread that specifically addresses this issue, and then also to get some guidance from the spirit guides and from our ancestors, from whomever you feel source is for you, your angels, God, whomever, but to get that guidance and to draw from it so that we may also have some direction on how it's affecting us, as well as how we can move forward from it and progress from it, because it is our reality. So we do have to live within this space and operate within this space. So, um, my allergies have been acting up. I said on a previous video that sometimes I may look like bewitched and wrinkling my nose. And I had started filming this video and had a bit of a sneezing spell. And I'm in an upper floor of my home, so maybe there's a dust factor. So I'll definitely have to address that on my own. But for that reason, I had already pulled the first card, and bam, it started happening. So then I just decided to just regroup and start anew. However, the card that I pulled, nonetheless, is the first card for the reading, so I will still use that one. I just want to tell you that the spread, like I said, is a 5 card spread, and I'll tell you what the purpose is of each card that I'm pulling. So, just as an FYI, as I do before I do all of my readings, I've already meditated on the topic at hand and centered myself and got myself in a comfortable open space to receive what the spirit guides are telling us this evening. So the first card is related to the main concern with regard to this daylight savings time issue. And so it's the Knight of Cups. And as I stated in a previous video, I will do a video after I've gone through all the cards myself. I'll do a video on the major versus minor arcana, and those are the 2 categories that all of the tarot cards, specifically in the Rider-Waite tarot cards, that they fall into. And there are 78 cards in this deck. So I believe there are 22 of the cards are the major arcana. So just to um, just to read a description of what the author of the Universal Waite Tarot deck gives for the cards. If I see a card that falls into the major arcana, I'll read a bit of some of the um, keywords that the card represents, and then I will expound on them. So this one, the Knight of Cups, and this is actually one of the minor arcana. It falls into one of the 4 suits, and those 4 suits are cups, wands, pentacles, and swords. So this is cups, and this is the Knight of Cups. As you see, it's a knight. It's pretty self-explanatory. He's holding a cup in his hand. So what the author wants us to know is that this individual is graceful. He's not warlike. He's riding quietly, wearing a winged helmet, referring to the higher graces of the imagination, which sometimes characterize this card. Now, also, some of the divinatory meanings are arrival, approach, sometimes that of a messenger, advances, proposition, demeanor, invitation, and incitement. So that represents our main concern. Now, our main concern with regard to daylight savings time, it is one of not necessarily our representing our imagination, but the way that it affects us. That is something that is to your own discretion. There are some people that, because it's such a repetitive thing, it recurs every year, we always know that it's going to happen. If anything, you're planning ahead for it, you're making your own adjustments, you're already setting any type of analog watches and clocks that you have in your home in preparation for it. You're making sure that everyone's aware, etc. So we're already getting all of those things together to make the transition as easy and seamless as possible. However, some may venture to say that anyone who feels like there is some type of issue with regard, like, or something that happens as a result of daylight savings time that's internal and messes with our internal clocks, that may be not necessarily a figment of our imagination, but it might be a stretch. And I beg to differ that. So this is the main concern. I guess it's just how there are some conflicting opinions on how it affects us. So the second card, this one is representing, um, this is asking the question, how is it affecting our lives? So it's asking how is it affecting my life, but this is for all of us. So this card is representing how daylight savings time is affecting our lives. So the second card is, okay, this is the 5 of Swords. Okay, I see what looks like cirrus or feathery clouds in the sky. It's the 5 of Swords, like I said. So the gentleman in the front, he is holding 2 of the swords against one of his shoulders, and he's kind of holding one of the other swords down in the ground. There are 2 on the ground around him, and he's watching as over his shoulder as there are there are two other individuals looking. One in the distance is looking quite downtrodden. So I'd like to look to see what the author wants us to know about that. So again, that's the Five of Swords. So let's just take a look. Now, the Five of Swords is a disdainful man looking after two retreating and dejected figures. As I said, their two swords lie upon the ground. He carries two others on his left shoulder, and a third sword is in his right hand, point to earth. He's the master in possession of the field. Divinatory meanings: degradation, destruction, reversal, infamy, dishonor, and loss. Now, this is really interesting because this is a card that's representing how daylight savings time is affecting us. Now, this degradation and loss, I feel like, especially for the spiritual community, that if this card is representative of how it affects us, and it affects us in a that we're experiencing loss and we feel degraded, I believe that. And that means that there are certain things that we need to do. Meditating daily, doing things like yoga, Tai Chi, things that we feel are feeding into our spirit where we can stay connected to our spirit world. Because meditation is truly a way to, and there's so many different ways to, to meditate, but meditation is a way to truly connect with our inner selves and to connect with spirit and with source. And I feel like it is important to stay connected. And that pineal gland, it definitely connects us with our more divine self and our more spiritual selves. So it's important for us to feed into it because spirit wants to feed into us all the time. So it's definitely important for us to do the same. So I feel like that card was very profound. Now, card three is the hidden factors with regard to daylight savings time. So that's really interesting. Now, this card is, let's see, this is the Three of Pentacles. As you can see, there's that number three at the top. And I've told you all before, the way that the number three really affects me personally is three is my birth number. So, and I'm sorry for putting my hand over my face the last time. So, three is my birth number, but there is some symbolism with the number three when it comes to divinity. But these symbols with the stars inside, that represents the pentacles. So that's one of those four suits that I mentioned. So this is one of the minor arcana. And as we see, there are three individuals. That's similar to the last one, the last card. And let's see what's taking place. So the individual that's standing on the bench is holding two objects in their hands, and the other two are holding what look to be almost like a scroll. And I see an image, looks like a picture on, I'm not sure if you can see, there you go, looks like a picture on that the paper they're holding, and the two of them are gazing into the one that's on the bench's eyes, um, almost like they're in full attention to what he is saying or presenting. So I do want to look and see what the author says that represents. So again, that's the Three of Pentacles, and this is representing some hidden factors. So let's just take a look. And this Three of Pentacles is a sculptor at his work in a monastery. The divinatory meanings are métier, trade, skilled labor, usually, however, regarded as a card of nobility, aristocracy, renown, glory. So, hidden factors, when we think about that with regard to daylight savings time. So, if this is representing skilled labor, the hidden factor, so we know that the second card was um, specifically implying that there's some degradation at work and some loss at work, and I feel like that is what's happening. That's the powers that be, so to speak, or the who people feel have the power. when they really don't possess any power at all in the grand scheme of things, if you know what I mean. So I feel like while that card was representing how we're affected by daylight savings time, the hidden factor is that there is some truly skilled labor at work. And by skilled labor in this sense, I'm taking that to mean those of us in the spirit work, and that's light workers as well as shadow workers, those of us who feel at service and feel called to duty to bring certain things to the forefront and to speak out on certain topics and to help to educate and inspire and empower our communities to rise up, rise above things like this. So I feel like these are hidden factors. We are the hidden factors, and I'm very thankful to be a part of that group. Now, card four, it says new ideas to help you grow. So this is to help us grow while we're dealing with daylight savings time and the effects of it. Okay, so this is the Four of Wands. So the wands or batons, there are different words that are used to describe them. Are these four branches, is what I call them. And they always have some type of foliage that is sprouting out from them. In this case, it's sprouting out from the top. And I love that. And to see the foliage in between them, whenever I see foliage in the cards, to me it speaks to growth, it speaks to abundance and life. Now this card is representing new ideas to help us grow, and that's what this card represents to me. I see people rejoicing in the background who are quite happy. It looks like there's a celebration of sorts going on, and there are people partying in the background. They look like they just look like they're quite happy, and um, I mean, this could represent a bride and groom, even, but at any rate, it's definitely a celebration and a cause of joy. And I like this card. So, this is representing new ideas to help us grow. And I venture to say, maybe some of the new ideas would be that instead of looking at, as to be honest, as I was looking at daylight savings time as a time of um, enhance skepticism and also a time to raise the alarms. I also feel like, it's all about our perspective. So instead of just looking at it as something to vent about or rant about, a new way to look at it could be a time to really tap into our spiritual selves and to rejoice in our connectiveness, our connectivity to the spiritual realm and um, to source. And if we really stay connected to our source, then nothing that happens, even things that um, seem clearly negative, um, they won't have such a lasting impression on us because we're still so connected to our source. So I feel like that's really important. So I went to look and see the what my guide is telling me through the author of this deck. So again, that was the Four of Wands. So let me take a look. Now, the Four of Wands is saying from the four great staves planted in the foreground. So stave is another term that some have used for those wands or those branches. From the four great staves planted in the foreground, there is a great garland suspended. Two female figures uplift nosegays, and at their side is a bridge over a moat leading to an old manorial house. Divinatory meanings. They are for once almost on the surface. Country life, repose, concord, harmony, prosperity, peace, and the perfected work of these. So, like I was saying with this card, to me, it means that we should rejoice just in how connected we are to Source and to not focus on what someone decided was in our best interest at one point that has had a negative effect on us physically. Excuse me. Pardon me. And how it has affected us ultimately spiritually, and the effort to disconnect us from our spiritual selves. It's a time for us to rejoice because we're essentially overcomers and we are rising above whatever any type of negative connotation this time of the year represents, and we're staying connected to source ever the more. So that's the fourth one. The fifth card is what you need to in order to be successful during these times. So this is what we need in order to be successful, and this is closing out this success spread. Okay. All right. So, what we need to be successful, this is the Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups. So, we started, I feel like we've come full circle. We started with the Knight of Cups, and that was representing our main concern. What we need to be successful is the Queen of Cups. And I've pulled this card before. Now, this one is representing the so we know the queen, we know her role in society, we know her regal or royal nature, we know that she's on her throne. And I loved what I mentioned before is the garb that she has and her cloak, her cape. It all has a water like um, flowing type of image. The illustrator was really good with that regard. And also, she appears to be on some type of peninsula or island almost, because you see the water around her, and then there's water coming from behind, and the rocks, which would represent a beach of sorts. And the colors to me represent, um, it just represents, I'm a Pisces, so the colors stand out to me, the greens, the blues. Um, it just represents the water, and the water to me is so peaceful. So this card is representing what we need in order to be successful. And I'm not sure if this is representing the nature that we need to have, our disposition, to have a peaceful disposition in order to be successful during this time. I'm definitely going to read what the author of the deck wanted us to take away from this, and we'll expound on it a bit more. She's also holding this goblet in her hand and just gazing upon it, and she has a peaceful look upon her face as well. So let's take a look at that. This is again the Queen of Cups. Now, the Queen of Cups, beautiful, fair, dreamy woman, as one who sees visions in a cup. Divinatory meanings: good, fair woman, honest, devoted, who will do service to the querent, loving, intelligence, and hence the gift of vision, success, happiness, pleasure, also wisdom and virtue. Now, I love that. So, I mentioned how she had a peaceful, regal look about her, and this is what we need in order to be successful. So, it's important for us to um, just to have that look um, of love, and let me make sure I'm capturing it accurately. That look of happiness and pleasure, and it's not necessarily an outward appearance, something aesthetically. This is something inward. It's important to have happiness in our spirit and just in our gut. Our have make sure our intentions are pure, and that's something that will carry us through in life in general, not just through daylight savings time, but throughout our lives as a whole. And also, when we think about our third eye and just our intuition, it's just really important that we constantly just maintain that positive disposition. There will be external factors, whether it's daylight savings time, whether it's the government, whether it's just different things that approach us in a negative manner, and different internal and external conflict that we experience. But it's our greater calling, and it's important for us to pardon me, you'll hear sirens outside. I'm on a busy street, but it's important for, I'll wait. Okay. So it's important for us to um, keep that inward positive disposition, and to stay find that joy within us. And if that requires meditating every day or multiple times a day to stay centered and connected to the source, then do that, whatever it takes. If it takes doing sound baths so that you're able to just further center yourself and stay connected, doing yoga. Sometimes people draw from connecting with their family, their loved ones, their friends as well, are because we have the families that we choose and the family that we don't choose. So if it's about connecting with that family of choice, our friends and those loved ones, then do that. Whatever you find some sort of joy in and some inner peace, connect with that as frequent, as often as you possibly can. And I guarantee you, you will have some happiness. You will have more joy on the other side of whatever you're experiencing. So I thank you all today again for joining me. I thank you for sticking with me today on this video and this 5 card spread. And if you want to see more videos like this, then feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. This is Queen Elle. Again, this is the evening of Saturday, March 7th, 2020. I truly appreciate you. Many blessings to you. Take care.